Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Shevchenko versus Carmouche 2. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight. I'll be predicting on the prelims. So in our first fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Veronica Macedo versus Viana. So looking at this fight, you got two women skidding in the UFC. They aren't looking the best in the UFC. They're both talented, but are struggling to get victories. I think Macedo's on a 2-3 fight losing streak, and Viana is on a 2-fight losing streak. But she does have a win in the UFC, Viana. I think she got a submission in her first fight in the UFC, then went on a 2-fight skid, and Macedo has yet to get a victory. I think she first started at 135, then didn't fight for a couple of years, dropped down to a low weight class, lost again. But that's besides the point. So looking at their styles, Macedo's supposed to have a little bit of a grappling, but you really haven't seen the best grappling from her. She does have some nice striking here and there, more so with her kicks. Her punches aren't really the most to talk about, but she does have a nice spinning back kick. She can put a lot of power into her kicks. But that's really much what's about her. She can put some power in her kicks. She's okay at grappling, but so far that's been her weakness. She's been out-grappled by just about everybody she fought. Up a weight class, down a weight class, she's been out-grappled. And Viana, on the other end, she just kind of came up short in a lot of these fights. I think Viana's some decent striking. She's gritty. She can grapple in the fights. But she came up kind of short in some of these fights and some of these changes. And I think one of her strongest parts of her is her grappling. We've seen her in grappling matches. And it's not like she's been somebody that her weakness been grapple. So in this fight, I would say Viana is the better grappler. And I think she's the bigger woman. Well, at least tall and frame-wise, she's the taller, bigger woman. Maybe width-wise, Macedo is the wider woman. But I feel like Viana can put her in a lot of situations where Macedo doesn't want to be. And I think Viana is able to initiate the grappling, mix it up, smother Macedo when needed to grind out the decision. I don't think it's going to be like a wash-in fight where she's just so much better than her. I think it's going to be a gritty, grindy fight, but I think Viana is the better grappler. I think that's going to be what's going to decide this fight is the grappling. I think Viana is the better grappler, so I think she's going to be able to win those grappling exchanges and win this fight. So in this fight, I have Viana via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Gilbert Burns versus Alexei Kunchenko. Well, Gilbert Burns is usually a lightweight. I think he's taking this fight on short notice and coming up a weight class. I don't know why he's doing it, or maybe he's switching to welterweight, or I don't know what. But this is an interesting matchup. This definitely could play out where Kunchenko, with his good takedown defense, could keep it on the feet, use his length, use his striking abilities to pick apart Gilbert Burns. But I'm going to go against that. I think Kunchenko was a very slow starter. And yes, he's like 2-0 in UFC and undefeated in his career. But he beat an old Thiago Alves and kind of took a while, pretty much to the third round, to really turn it up on Thiago Alves, and barely still turn it up. And he beat a 40-year-old or 40-year-old older Yushin Okami. So he did pick Yushin Okami apart, but that's not the most impressive victory to beat an old Yushin Okami. But he did it, and he showed that he has good takedown defense in that fight. And he showed that he can pick apart a slow, old, former middleweight. But on Gilbert Burns' side, he was a very talented lightweight. He never really broke into the cream of the crop of the lightweights, or the true top 10, top 15 of lightweight. But he's definitely a solid fighter. He got some power in his hands. He's got some real top-notch grappling. I think Kunchenko will want to grapple with him, but I think it will be hard for Gilbert Burns to get Kunchenko down, which can keep it in Kunchenko's realm. But the thing about Kunchenko is a slow starter, so I think that Gilbert Burns can take advantage of that in the early rounds, use his power, use his speed. He's going to be the shorter fighter. He's going to be coming up a weight class, so he's going to have that speed advantage, maybe have a little bit of a technical advantage, get on the inside, land some power shots, maybe open up a takedown, and start grappling with him. I think he should be able to get a takedown early, which will allow him to maybe follow up off of that success, taking advantage of how slow of a start that Kunchenko is. I think he's able to get him down, like land some hard shots, gain his respect, get him down. I think he submits him in the second round. It's going to be a competitive fight, but I think once Gilbert Burns gets him down, I think he's going to be able to find his bread and butter and submit him. So in this fight, I got Gilbert Burns via second round submission. Now to our next fight we got in the lightweight division, Rodrigo Vargas versus Alex da Silva Coelho. Yeah, that's his name. But looking at this fight, you got two fighters that are young, two fighters that are definitely getting their feet wet in UFC. Vargas is just debuting in the UFC, and Coelho is making his second fight in UFC after a loss in his debut. But I think Coelho is a much more experienced fighter. He's 20-2 versus Vargas, who was about 10-2, so nearly twice as much experience. I think Coelho is still the younger fighter. I think he's about early 20s, and Vargas is on maybe kind of just that mid, little to late 20. So he got the youth on him, and he got the experience. And I think style-wise, Vargas can grapple somewhat, but I think he's not that big grappler that Coelho fought in his last fight. He can't be that smothering blanket against Coelho. Then on the feet, I think Coelho puts his punches and strikes together much better, changes the combos better, set up better combinations. And he's the much more experienced fighter. So with that experience and how he chains together his strikes together and set up his strikes much better. And the fact that Vargas, I don't think, can really put that smothering grappling on him if he needed to. I don't think it's his style. I think it favors Coelho to keep it on the feet, put his strikes together well, and beat Vargas in a nice decision. I think it's gonna be very competitive. Two young fighters, two hungry fighters, but I think Coelho just puts it together much better on the feet, and I don't think Vargas can really take advantage of him too much on the ground. So in this fight, I got Alex da Silva Coelho via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Geraldo de Freitas versus Chris Gutierrez. So looking at this fight, kind of just gets straight to the point. De Freitas is certainly talented, but I think he's very green. Chris Gutierrez is talented, but he has experience. Geraldo de Freitas can grapple, he can strike, but not really a power striker, not really a super finishing type of grappler. And Chris Gutierrez has shown over his career outside of UFC, he's been fighting a lot of top names, pretty much his best names he can fight in his weight class outside of UFC, and he's been pretty successful. He came to UFC and only lost to, I'm forgetting the guy's name right now, but that guy is a very talented prospect in himself, probably one of the better prospects in that division. And that's his only loss in the UFC, I think. So I just feel like Chris Gutierrez, to get to the point, I feel like he's the much more experienced fighter, and the fighter that's, peaking more so right now. With Geraldo de Freitas, I look at him, I see a guy that's still has a lot of room for growth and still not really streaking yet. He's not really found in his groove yet. I feel like Gutierrez is hitting his peak and building off of that. I think feel like right now he has experience and he has talent and he's on right now. And de Freitas is not. I think Gutierrez can dictate the pace of the grappling. He's very scrambly, very good top control. He can mix in the strikes very well. I think he just has that experience advantage over him, and he can just dictate the pace of this fight. So in this fight, I got Chris Gutierrez via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the flyweight division, Rogerio Bontorin versus Raulian Paiva. So this fight is very, very interesting right here. You got Rogerio Bontorin, who beat what's called Sambo practitioner. I'm forgetting a guy named Bibulatov. I'm forgetting his first name. Magomed Bibulatov, I believe that's his name. I think that's a former world champion of Sambo, or at least a competitor at world-class Sambo. So definitely a real top-notch fighter. I think he was in Bellator at one point. I'm forgetting guys a lot of the stuff right now because I'm doing off the top of my head, but I know for sure that's a very solid guy to beat. I don't think he really won that fight. He was kind of gifted to him in a way, but to take down a Sambo practitioner, especially of that level, several times, is very respectful. And I think that was on his debut in the UFC, both of their debuts, so very respectful nonetheless. You got Raulian Paiva, who I didn't really expect much of in his fight to do anything, and he was actually outstriking a solid striker or a world-class striker in Kai Kara-France in that fight. It turned him into a grappler. And I think he won that fight. I think Bontorin didn't win his last fight. And Paiva, though, he won his last fight, but it was kind of two fights where they kind of gave the decision the other way. But nonetheless, both looked impressive. And they're both coming into this fight trying to get a win. So when I look at this fighting, Paiva, he has some solid grappling. His striking, which wasn't really too impressive on the Contender Series, has certainly shown leaps and bounds. And to be able to outstrike a world-class striker is certainly impressive. But I think what's going to come down to this fight is really between two grapplers. And I think Bontorin's ability to take down a world-class Sambo practitioner says more in a fight. I think in a fight, especially when I see between these two, a fight between two grapplers, I think who's going to win this fight comes down to who's going to initiate the grappling, who's going to make the smarter decisions in the grappling. I think Bontorin's going to make those smarter decisions. He has the better takedown ability in this fight to put the fight on the ground. I think when he gets on the ground, he has the control to keep the top control. I know Paiva's going to be gritty and game, but I think Bontorin's going to be the one putting the fight on the ground. He's going to be the one in top control. He might be losing the strike exchange here and there, but I think on the ground, he's going to be the one making the smart decisions to win the decision. It's going to be gritty, it's going to be scrambly, it's going to probably be a fight that can go to a split decision, but I think Bontorin going for the takedowns, securing the takedowns, and having that top control is going to edge the fight for him. So in this fight, I have Rogerio Bontorin via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in our co-prelim headliner in the women's strawweight division, Tecia Torres versus Marina Rodriguez. So look at this fight. Rodriguez is certainly a nice prospect. She's long, she's lanky, she's gritty, and she can scrap. Good in the clinch, good elbows, good knees, very long, and knows how to use it. Teacher Torres on that end is very short, but she's just as her name attends, she's a tiny tornado. She could get in and get out very fast, very short, but very explosive. But in this fight, she's a more experienced fighter. For sure, I would think she is the more experienced fighter, been around the top rankings for a very good long time. And she's still, I think, if she's in her 30s, very early 30s, so she's been around for a good minute. And she's been in the top for as long as she's been in the UFC and even before she got in the UFC. So she's been at this for a while. To get to the point of this matchup, I think as talented as Rodriguez is, she doesn't have the experience. I think she did pick apart Jessica Aguilar, but Aguilar is more of a stationary fighter, a little plodding walker. I think Teacher Torres is going to be creating angles, coming in and getting fast, like coming in with these fast blitz, which will allow her to get takedowns. It's not going to be just a walk you down, then duck down and go for a takedown all slow that you can get caught with a knee or caught in the clinch. Teacher Torres is going to explode on you. Might do a little spinning back kick here and there, might coming in with a blitz, like straight line blitz, then mixing a takedown. I think more so Teacher Torres is going to be too fast, kind of too many angles for Rodriguez to counter. Then again, grappling, Teacher Torres is the better grappler as well, so she can probably, when she get on the inside, get her down, or in the clinch, she can get the better of Rodriguez quite often in that clinch area, and those smaller distance she'll create with her blitz. I think Teacher Torres' fight is a veteran fight. She blitzes when she needs to, creates angles, mixes in takedowns, gets her control, get on top, make some transitions, land some shots. And I think she beats Rodriguez in a very veteran-like performance. So in this fight, I got Teacher Torres via decision. Now to our prelim headliner we have in the heavyweight division, Gane versus Rafael Pessoa Nunes. So looking at this fight, I really couldn't find too much tape on Nunes. All I saw was his debut fight, his very first fight, which can really say nothing or can say a lot. I didn't like his striking in that fight, but that was, 3 years ago. Things could change. But I'm going to really go just off that and his style. I think he's going to change too much. Seems like he had a kind of typical kind of square back Brazilian style. And he's not really, looking at his record, he's more so TKO finish. And you got Gane. It's like you look at his name, you think, oh, this guy's a Dutch kickboxer or a Dutch kickboxing background. I didn't really see no Dutch kickboxing background as far as looking at his resume. And then looking at how he fight, I don't think he don't fight like a guy that's been like one of those, like when you look at a Dutch kickboxer that come in MMA, you say, oh, this guy's been several time Dutch kickboxing world champion. It doesn't look like, because he does like he might train with some of those people, but the way he does his shots and stuff and misses a lot here and there, like he certainly like he's got some good background to his technique, but it's like he doesn't have the practice of that technique. Like when you see those Dutch kickboxers, they might have these wild aggressive styles, but they rarely miss. They'll be aggressive, they'll be open for some counters and stuff, but as far as missing, they won't miss too much. They'll probably have about 45% connect ratio at least. And I think his ratio is probably around like 30-something just from looking at his one fight I watched. But he does have a nice jab, and I seen in that Pessoa fight, that one Pessoa fight I watched, he got hit by even an ugly jab from an amateur, and his head cocked all the way back. And Gane, big, physical, and he has a nice jab. That's one thing about him. His other stuff, he might load up on his power shots too much, but his jab is definitely clean. He might switch stance too much, but I really like his jab, and that's really what I'm gonna go off. He has power, he has a jab. He has all the technique there. Maybe just feel like I'm just so big and so powerful, I'm just going to just be sloppy. I think coming to UFC, he's going to clean that up a little bit, be sharper with his technique. I think the power is there, the talent's there. Just got to clean it up a little bit. And I think he go pretty far in the UFC's heavyweight division, being 6'5", being that big, and seeming like he has the template and he has the background and technique to go a long way. But it's definitely, I think he's still a good bit away. I'm not saying he's going to become the UFC to be a star just yet, but he certainly, give him 2 more 3 years, he can jump in and really make some waves in the UFC. But I think in this fight, it's just a good fight for him to start a UFC fight. I think he's just the cleaner striker between the two. I think this fight's going to be a striking matchup. I think the jab's going to be an important part of this fight to really get Nunes off his kind of like Brazilian type of herky-jerky type of striking style. Going to keep him from really being loaded up on power, switching angles a lot. And Nunes not really having too many leg kicks or whatever. I think he's going to be able to play more to Gane. I think he jabs him up, avoids a lot of his big strikes, and then eventually lands his own big strikes on Nunes following the jab. Like everything's setting up with the jab and then following him behind with the big strikes. I think he's eventually able to land clean on Nunes, drop him, and put him out of there in the second round. So in this fight, I got Gane via second round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Shevchenko versus Carmouche 2. And as always, thanks for watching.